This is the Farm Monitor. For over 50 years, your source for agribusiness news and features from around the Southeast and across the country, focusing on one of the nation's top industries, agriculture. The Farm Monitor is produced by one of the largest general farm organizations, the Georgia Farm Bureau. Now here are your hosts, Ray DeLesio and Kenny Bergamy.
All right, let the fun begin. Welcome to the program. A lot has happened since we last saw you, new stories. Kenny and I both a few days older. That's never a good thing.
No.
But this is something we call the Rundown, Mr. B.
All right, let's get to it. Straight ahead on the program, the Food Well Alliance. What is it? Who does it benefit? And more importantly, what's it doing to create a sustainable food source for urban Georgia? Also on the show, a trip to the annual Georgia Dairy Conference. John HOLCOMB on the new ideas passed along to farmers to help improve both the economic conditions of their farms as well as the health of their cattle. And then later, can production hemp really succeed here in Georgia? That's a question many are asking themselves. Well, this Albany farmer says yes, it can, and he's got the proof to back it up. These stories and so much more start right now on the Farm Monitor.
Working to build and support urban farms and gardens across Metro Atlanta since 2016, Food Well Alliance is now looking to implement the city's first agriculture plan in East Point. Damon Jones tells you what it entails and why it's so vital to the future of the industry.
With more and more of the country's population moving away from rural areas, creating a local, sustainable food source for bigger cities has become a priority. That's the purpose for Food Well Alliance in Atlanta, who provide both guidance and funding to aspiring urban farmers.
We believe that a thriving local food network is crucial to the resiliency and the health of our community. So it's important that we invest in our gardens and farms so we can strengthen our whole city.
Urban farming is here to stay. It's a trend in some people's mind, but I think it really is the wave of the future. We're seeing that right now 50% of the world's population lives in urban environments. It's expected to increase to 70% by 2050. And so we have to look at, where are the source of sustenance going to come from?
But in order for urban farmers to rise and meet that challenge, they will need support from local governments.
In 2016, we surveyed our local growers and did a big comprehensive kind of study of what is needed to boost local food. And one of the key findings was that we needed to put policies in place that really support urban agriculture.
And to that end, Food Well Alliance, in partnership with the Atlanta Regional Commission, is hoping to implement the city's first ever agriculture plan that is specifically targeted to meet the needs of this specific region of the state.
It's going to be putting a greater emphasis on marketing. It's going to be creating incentive programs that incentivize farmers and gardeners and even retail stores to supply local food to the community.
You now begin to take something that's a large macrocosm at the USDA and create a microcosm that's very specific to each municipal region. That's going to be a huge factor, I think, moving forward, especially even when you look at a city as dynamic as Metro Atlanta.
While many applied, East Point was selected as the pilot city, where a recently awarded $250,000 grant will be used for the implementation phase.
This plan is going to drive our efforts, it's going to guide our efforts, but it's also going to create just a framework for us to be able, as we're going along the way, to really East Pointize it and put in those things that will make it unique and impactful for our community.
And hopefully it will be the first of many communities to adopt a similar plan in order to invest in the future.
We're on a journey. A journey begins with a single step, and so we've been taking steps along the way. This is yet another step to helping us ensure that we have a local food ecosystem in our city that outlives all of us and that my daughter and her family can benefit from in the future, right? That this is sustainable beyond us.
I just think that every city that misses this opportunity is going to regret it. So I'm glad that East Point gets it. Hopefully their passion about it is infectious, and hopefully we begin to see other cities jump on board in the near future.
Reporting from Fulton County, I'm Damon Jones for the Farm Monitor.
Meantime, Georgia milk producers gathered in Savannah recently for the annual Georgia Dairy Conference. This event brings farmers from different parts of the state together to network and learn about new products and techniques to boost their dairy's bottom line. The Monitor's John HOLCOMB has that story.
For the first time in what feels like an eternity, dairy producers from all over the state of Georgia gathered under one roof to discuss the dairy industry. It was a time of safely distanced fellowship and education, as producers heard from experts about the many things going on in the industry, including challenges and things being done to help with them. Something that is extremely important, given the level of uncertainty they've had over the past year.
There's quite a bit of volatility in the dairy industry. We have a lot of risk management opportunities now, but it does take some producer education to get them to understand how to use those tools. So, that's one area that we really are trying to focus on to prepare them for how to take advantage of those programs. And then, new technologies are so important. We're not adding a ton of cows to our dairies now, but we're learning how to make the most of milk production per cow. So any type of technology out there to help us manage that is good for our producers.
Just like all other commodities, dairy took a big hit in 2020 thanks to COVID-19, especially in the beginning when there wasn't anywhere for the milk to go.
Back in the early months of 2020, very low milk prices. Because of fluid milk sales declining, things closing, a lot of milk in the Southeast had to be shipped out at a tremendous cost just to find a home for it. So it was tough times there. And plus, even on dairy farms, costs continue to go up. So dairy farmers made it. There's still a few went out of business, but most of them survived. But it was a challenge for them.
One producer that knows all too well how challenging 2020 was is Jeff Busciglio, who owns and operates Busciglio Farms down in Meriwether County.
2020 was pretty rough. COVID hit. We were actually doing pretty good in the beginning, and then it hit, and we had to make all kind of adjustments. Was pretty detrimental to our farm. We had to back our cows off on milk. Cows really didn't want to come back, so we had to just ride with it.
However, things have somewhat returned to normal, and according to Covington, prices seem to be looking good for dairy producers in 2021. But of course, that won't come without some challenges.
I'm looking at fed order blend prices being very similar to what they were in 2020, which is a good sign. But one of the big challenges here facing dairy farmers here in 2021, feed prices are going up. Corn and soybeans have gone up so quickly. Corn over $5 a bushel, beans $14, and translate to higher soybean oil meal. So their feed costs are going to go up, which is going to shrink the margins.
However, producers like Jeff are still optimistic that things are going to be okay and things are going to be better in the future.
We're moving forward, and we're not backing up. We've been through some tough times. We've been through a few good times. It's going to get better.
Reporting in Chatham County for the Farm Monitor, I'm John Holcomb.
Well, while research of production hemp and its popularity continues here in Georgia, this Albany farmer says he may have found a solution to be a successful grower. His story when the Farm Monitor continues.
Hi, I'm Chris Cunningham. I'm the Vice President of Sales and Marketing here at R.L. Cunningham & Sons Peanut Buying Point and Seed Sheller. I started here in December of 2007. I'd say for the first 6 months of my job, I just kind of figured out what it was we did. While I've been in this business all my life, I never really worked on the peanut side. And so since then, I've taken on roles of overseeing peanut seed sales and buying point procurement, farmer relations. Anything that a buying point manager should do, I have my hands in and do. A peanut buying point deals with the grower directly, handles his harvest in terms of getting his peanuts from the farm to the buying point so they can be dried, inspected, ultimately determine what the quality and the value is of that crop. He also has a relationship with the peanut sheller in terms to handle the purchase of that crop, get the grower paid, and get the peanuts to where they need to be in the market. I was an agribusiness major at the University of Georgia. Took a variety of classes, but the few that really stuck out to me was finance, ag finance, personal finance, and accounting. You got to know how to run a business, and a lot of times that has to do with financials. There's a variety of job opportunities at any given buying point. Typically during peanut harvest season, which is from, I'd say, 1st of September to mid to late November. Anything from a tractor driver or someone who can drive a semi-truck. A lot of times just someone be on hand to work the pits where we dump the peanuts in these transfer bins or into the warehouse. If you're interested, I would definitely say find a local buying point, talk to the manager, and see if there's an opportunity for you. Not to defer from the buying point, but Georgia Federal State hires, I think, 600 or 700 part-time inspectors every year, and that's a job that is extremely vital to the peanut industry. That person or that group determined the quality and the value of the United States peanut crop. So peanut grading is what the inspectors from Georgia Federal State will do. They will sample the peanuts. They'll have a pneumatic probe to pull samples throughout the various spots of a trailer. They'll cut that sample down to 500 grams, and they're determining value and determining weight, or quality and weight. Those two things together equal value. They want to know what percentage of this is peanut. Do we have 5% floor material? That can be dirt, sticks, rocks, or hulks. What percent is loose shelled kernels? Those are peanuts that are shelled during the harvest process. And what percent are whole kernels? What percent are splits? All those things together come up to determine the grade of the peanut, which determines the value of the peanut. If someone is interested in working at a peanut buying point, it's good to have some type of a mechanical background, an interest in machinery, knowing how to drive a tractor or a forklift, not necessarily knowing how equipment works, but being able to operate certain equipments, especially knowing the dangers of equipment, so that we can all work under a safe environment. So one thing that sets our business a little bit apart from others is that we also have a peanut seed sheller. And what we do, we'll certify peanuts with Georgia Crop Inspection, and we will shell certified seed and turn around and sell it back to our farmers and other farmers in the South Georgia area. While this is not unique to the peanut industry, it's somewhat unique to have a buying point and seed sheller in one. And there may be 5 or 10 out there, maybe a few more, but typically seed is shelled by the commercial shellers.
In March of 2020, Albany, Georgia was considered one of the worst hotspots in the country for COVID-19. At a time when most residents were sheltering in place, farmer Cedric Rowe instead was taking advantage of the solitude to experiment with his very first hemp crop after its production here in Georgia was legalized by Governor Brian Kemp in May of 2019. According to the Albany Herald, Rowe is one of the state's first black South Georgia farmers licensed to grow hemp. And now news of his success is making the rounds. Walking through his field along Georgia 300, Cedric Rowe is already thinking ahead to his next crop. Sure, a lot of work must be done before harvest, but if year 2 is anything like year 1 of his hemp operation, then Cedric is all in. Although he will be the first to tell you, like with any other type of farming, he did have his share of challenges along the way.
Well, the obstacles was basically the plant variety. With us being in South Georgia, Georgia period, we was basically having to grow varieties grown in plants grown in other states if you was planting by transplants. Seeds also. So the challenging part was basically trying to figure out the common diseases that may come on the plant or different pests that may, you may see, and just the whole beginning stage of it was kind of challenging. You still have to do the common things that when it comes to a commodity crop, observing the crop every day. Only difference is more intense labor, controlling the weeds. That's the big challenge also. Knowing what different types of herbicides to use that that's available to use on this crop. It's a new crop. It's still a lot of research done on it. Still a lot of research needs to be done on it, but for the most part, it's about the same. I say it's about the same with me being a peanut grower also. I can see the common, time it takes to put into the crop and get it ready.
With all that said, it still begs the question, given all the unknowns about hemp and the limited research regarding its ability to succeed here in Georgia, why take the risk right out of the gate? Why not wait until more is known about the crop? Well, for Cedric, a graduate of Fort Valley State, it basically boiled down to two things. A, it was something he was already familiar with, and B, opportunity.
What really caught my attention was how much money you can make per acre. Also, it was a new crop. So it was a new opportunity for me to get into something where it was less competition, something that I kind of understood just because of my knowledge on it from Fort Valley. So, working at a university and going to school at a university, I got a chance to, work around similar plants leading up to, the legalization of hemp. So it's like I was kind of preparing myself for it. But like I say, what really got me into it was a new crop.
As far as his net profit in year one, that's something Cedric and I did not discuss during our conversation. However, he did tell me that once everything was harvested, his total pull was about 600 pounds per acre. Multiply that by 5 acres, which at the time was the size of his operation, and overall Cedric was pretty pleased, both with the quality and overall abundance. However, once the harvest process was complete, then came phase 2 of charting those unfamiliar waters, so to speak.
Just the challenges that I had to face just to get it out the ground and get it to the process of not knowing, being the first time, understanding how to transport it. It was just a lot of stuff it was a lot of unknown. So each step of the grow was a new phase, new chapter for not only me, but for the state, as far as how they monitor it and what regulations to, look for and abide by.
But a successful first crop resulted in Cedric having yet another hurdle to overcome: his newfound fame. You see, once word of his operation got around, Cedric says he was flooded with phone calls and emails from people wanting more information. That's when he came up with the plan to host a hemp clinic. Capped at 75 people, it sold out in a matter of hours.
I'm shocked that it kind of got out there like that, but part of me, I'm kind of glad. Now I get opportunity to basically, to put my knowledge and all the stuff that I know how to do and been doing, put it on a good platform to be able to show people, and I also teach people how to grow it. Just getting that pressure and seeing people, seeing a lot of people that's into it is kind of like shocking, really. So I'm willing to, do my part and continue to, show people how to grow successful hemp.
Good luck, Cedric. When we come back, profiling American Farm Bureau's Farm Dog of the Year. She is a smart one, and in this case, she is not only a woman's best friend, but a lifesaver.
Cover crops really are one of the premier ecological strategies that we can bring into agriculture to make it more sustainable, improve the soil and build our productivity. With the amount of species that are out there and the way we can manage these cover crops and the diversity of cropping systems represents a really challenging researchable question. This is a long-term agricultural research site. We have about 20 of these across the country. As we collect a lot of this data at this research station, that helps us say a lot about what's going on at this place and this time. But farmers really want to know what's going on in their fields, right? So we've developed a national on-farm network where we're monitoring the effects of cover crops on a whole host of criteria like insects, weeds, disease, water, nitrogen. And all of that information that we collect across the country allows us to link up how climate and soil and management interact to affect both the cover crop performance as well as the cash crop. And we're taking all of this information and we're building web-based decision support tools that provide site-specific recommendations to growers. So these are species selection tools. They're seeding rate calculators if you're using a mixture, if you're just planting a monoculture. We have economic calculators, water and nitrogen calculators, all built around recommendation systems for growers using cover crops. What we're also now doing is we're developing the National Cover Crop Breeding Program. We're working on improving genetics to release cultivars, focusing on the management, as well as quantifying the benefits. But there's just not one size fits all model, right? Cover crops are biological tools. We're not looking for a prescription that serves everybody the same benefit, but what we get out of cover crops really depends on our own systems and what our objectives are with our farming practices.
Well, finally this week, the American Farm Bureau's Farm Dog of the Year. She's an Australian Shepherd from upstate New York who takes her job very seriously. So much so that she's credited with once saving her owner's life. So without further delay, let's meet Bindi.
I think we have a friendship, really. We do a lot of things together, and she's a big source of joy in my life. And certainly has taught me to be grateful and have an attitude of gratitude with a lot of things. I think Bindi excels at the farm dog work because she has an intense loyalty to me. I don't have to ask her to come with me. I know that she's always there. On the farm, she works cows. For us, that could look like moving a cow from inside to outside the barn. We'll go out on pasture and make sure everybody's okay. If there's somebody that needs to come in, she can help gather them up and bring them down. When I'm feeding the cows on pasture, she drives them away from the feed trough so that they're not crowding me when I'm going to feed grain. The cows weigh 1,200, 1,500 pounds, and we've got a group of 30 of those that are antsy to get their grain. By having the dog there to enforce some rules, it keeps me a lot safer, and I can work a lot more independently. I mean, I couldn't do what I do on a daily basis without having her there. It helps us work efficiently, but it also keeps me safe. So last spring, I went into a pen to sort heifers out, and when I came around a corner, I felt something bump me in the back and turned, and a heifer was charging me. Before I could really react, she had me pinned to the ground. And being against the headlocks, I couldn't just crawl out. Nobody else was around. I knew the dogs were there, but I didn't know exactly where, so I started calling Bindi's name. A few seconds later, I saw her feet trotting around the outside of the pen. You don't train for the contingency that, okay, now I'm laying on the ground and I can't show her exactly where I need her to go. And so then I gave her her cue to push the animals around to the back side of the freestall as if we were gonna clean the barn. She did it perfectly. She started pushing him around, the heifer let off, and I got out of there before she could come at me again. The dog was the only thing I had there, to give me a chance to get out safely. She's more than just a tool on the farm. Bindi's work goes beyond the farm. At the end of the day, Bindi is almost my constant companion. Her joy and quirkiness and craziness, I couldn't imagine that not being there. There's a saying, having considered all the options, choose joy, and she helps me do that.
See, I told you she was a good one.
Yeah. Before we send you on your way, a friendly reminder that for all the latest ag news, be sure you check out all of our social media platforms, including farm-monitor.com. You'll stay informed and see what's up in the world of farming and with us here on the show.
Take care, everybody. We'll see you next time right here on the Farm Monitor.
Have a great week.